evening, everyone. I'm Christiana Manpour, and welcome to the program. Tonight, we focus on a conflict that has largely disappeared from the headlines, but could be in danger of flaring up again. It's been more than a decade since the Good Friday peace agreement in Northern Ireland, when paramilitary groups agreed eventually to lay down their arms, and former enemies entered a power-sharing agreement. But some dissident IRA members never accepted the peace deal. And this year, there have been a series of attacks against the security forces. CNN's Nick Robertson reports on the dangerous implications.
It could have killed dozens of people. A 180-kilogram bomb left at a police headquarters in Belfast in November. It only partially exploded, but it showed just how determined Republican dissidents are to derail the peace process in Northern Ireland. It was also a frightening reminder of a similar-sized car bomb that killed 29 people, including 9 children, in the town of Omagh in 1998. In each case, a group calling itself the Real IRA was blamed. Gary Donnelly says he doesn't speak for the gunmen and bombers, but his movement, like the Real IRA, is branded a foreign terrorist organization by the United States.
The Good Friday Agreement never addressed the core issue for Republicans, which was the violation of Irish national sovereignty by a foreign occupying power, namely Britain.
In other words, it was a sellout. It's a message that resonates in his hometown, Londonderry, or Derry, as it's known to Catholics like him. Here, murals recall some of the worst fighting during the 3 decades of political violence, like Bloody Sunday, when British paratroopers killed 13 people as riots flared in 1972. But the writing on the wall is changing. The Catholic community is divided. The dissidents are pitched against Sinn Féin, the largest Republican party in the political wing of the IRA.
People have reorganised and feel more confident now.
So confident, they hung this huge banner just yards from the house of Sinn Féin leader and former IRA commander Martin McGuinness. McGuinness is now the second most powerful politician in the province, enshrining political clout Catholics wanted for decades but couldn't get. But he's been powerless to stop the Real IRA, even around the corner from his house. Another sign of how strong dissident Republicans are becoming in these communities is that punishment, beatings and shootings have gone up significantly. Once it was the IRA who carried out those attacks. They dropped off after the Good Friday peace agreement, but now they're back, and it's the Real IRA who's behind them. Across Northern Ireland this year, dissidents have mounted scores of attacks, according to the police, including several massive car bombs that have failed to go off, rocket attacks, mortars and shootings. 2 soldiers and 1 policeman have been killed. Martin McGuinness condemned the gunmen as traitors, and for some Republicans, that was a watershed moment.
How can Mr. McGuinness call these guys traitors or call the war off? He seems he's taken ownership of the war, taken ownership as his war. The logic was it was the people's war. The people support these people, put them there.
Deary's grandmother was shot during Bloody Sunday. His father, an IRA volunteer, was killed a decade and a half later while making bombs.
There is a lot of people not happy, and I can only imagine that there's growing support for 32 County Saturday movement and the likes of that, and an armed struggle.
Gerry Kelly was also in the IRA, now a Sinn Féin minister in the power-sharing government. He says the dissident fringe has no popular support.
There's a difference between an upsurge in their activity and an upsurge in support. They do not have an upsurge in support. They do not have support. On the 1 or 2 occasions where some people who pontificated these so-called dissident views went to the electorate, they were humiliated.
But many of Kelly's old allies in the IRA have yet to feel the benefit of peace. The Bradys were IRA through and through. Brendan did time in jail.
A lot of prisoners came out. What was out here for them? There was nothing here for them. There's nothing here now. Where's the work?
Their brother, also a former IRA prisoner, died in police custody in October. The cause of death is still being investigated. Hundreds came to his funeral, Masked gunmen fired shots over his coffin, a mark of respect and a sign, they say, of how many feel let down by Sinn Féin.
No, there is no change. There's no change. We're still being harassed. We're still being tortured, and they're still doing the same with young people in this area are getting stopped. Hundreds of stop and searches. What for?
Donnelly predicts the violence will continue.
Well, I think it would be very obvious that British policemen in Ireland implementing foreign laws would quite clearly be a target for a resistance.
And he suggests that resistance may cross the Irish Sea.
Britain has always been a target for Republican groups, and I think there's a belief amongst groups that that's where it hurts the British government most.
Sinn Féin Minister Gerry Kelly, who once bombed the Central Criminal Court in London, says the dissidents have no political future, but they are dangerous.
They are going nowhere, unfortunately, and I suppose, I am in my 50s now. I do feel a responsibility to give this message so that young people who are ideologically driven do not fall into the trap of following some of these people into what is a dead-end street, into jail, and into people being killed.
A sober assessment. Northern Ireland, once again, bracing for violence. Nick Robertson, CNN, Londonderry, Northern Ireland.